Okay, so now that you've finished step 6, which is creating a citation from one of your own articles from SIRS, we're ready to finish up here. But first, I'd just like to give you an idea of what a finished paper looks like and what citations look like in them. So at the very end of the instructions on the library instructional page, you'll see that there are a number of tips here about how and where you put your citations and some rules. I'm not going to go over all of them because they're listed here. You can always check back, and there are some great resources listed here. What I will do is to show one thing, which is a document that we've written here. It's called the MLA Citation Style Examples. It was written by your friendly librarians, and this shows how to set up some of the most common formats available. For example, a reference or encyclopedic document, web page from a website, magazine articles, and you should always go back and check whatever you've done in Noodle Tools with some of these things because they're going to be very useful for you. And actually, if you ever needed to do it, you could do a manual citation just based on this. It gives you a lot of really good hints. Another thing I'd like to look at is the document itself. We talked about before a place at Purdue University called the Online Writing Lab, or OWL, and they have a sample MLA page. Now, I'm going to download it and open it up right from the web browser. So we notice right here, it tells you how to set up the heading, the name. Now, your teacher can change this kind of thing all the time. Your teacher might say to you, okay, I want it to say the period, but the basics are here of the name, the teacher, the course, and the way that you put the date. You should notice some things like the date is not the way we normally write it. Instead of February 12th, it says 12 February, and there's no comma. You might also notice the big spaces all between every line. Every single thing is double spaced here. Now, as I scroll down, I'm looking to see the first instance of where something was cited. And I see right on the third page here, a quote, which of course you would cite not only a quote, but you would also cite an idea or a conclusion that wasn't yours. But in this case, it actually is a quote. And you can see right after the quote, immediately after and before the punctuation, they've written Danhoff 5. I'll bet you can guess what Danhoff means. Danhoff, you're right, is the author, and 5 is the page number. So you might ask, what do I do if I don't have a page number? Well, you leave it blank. Let's go on a little more. Okay, here's another Danhoff. More information from the same author, but this time it's on page 7. Now here, the third instance, can you see the author's name? That's right, it's Hurt, H-U-R-T, and that is from page 127. But here, there's no author's name. So where is that from? You guessed it, where they just have a number, which is a page number, here, here, and here. It's from whomever the last person listed was. So those 3 numbers are page numbers that are also from Hurt. Now, as soon as we get to another citation, and it isn't from Hurt, I'm going to have to put the name again. And here we have Danhoff again. I had to start all over. So these have to relate to something because, okay, I know Danhoff is probably a last name, but I don't know who it is, and I don't know the name of the article, or if it's an article, or if it's a book. I don't know any of those things. That's where you would go to the very end of the document into your works cited. Now in MLA, the works cited is called works cited. In some other formats, it might be called bibliography. And here, I have all the authors that I've used, and you can see their last names: Allen, Baker, Danhoff, Demery, Drown. And here we have exactly the citation that you would have copied from Noodle Tools. Now you can copy all your citations at once from Noodle Tools. Actually, you would have exported them to a document, probably a Google Doc, so it would already be nicely formatted. So if I scroll down here, I know that I'm also going to find one for hunt or hurt. And there it is. Now here's a strange one. Historical Census Browser. That is a very funny last name. Can you guess what's going on there? You're right. There was no last name. So when there's no last name, they have to use the title of whatever the thing is. And if it were a website and had no title, then they would use the name of the website. So you use the first information or a piece of it that appears in the citation as your in-text citation. And if I were to look through this document, I would see somewhere a citation in parentheses that said either historical census browser, maybe with a page number, or maybe it would just say historical, which is just a piece of that. And here we have the whole work cited. Going back to our resources here, between the sample page and the examples that we've given you and Noodle Tools, you should have more than enough information to set up your paper correctly. Any questions, please don't hesitate to email me or Mrs. Hulse. Good luck.